4 is sponsored by Bestseller Publishing.
Welcome back, everybody. Fran Petrie is an author and mother who has lived a very interesting life. She joins us now to talk about her newest book, Twins Times 3. The book goes through her life as she travels through infertility and becomes the mother of 3 sets of twins. Fran, tell us, what inspired you to write this book?
The reason that the book even became a thing was I was a journaler from way back. I would kept a diary as a child, that type of thing. Then, of course, life got busy. But when I went on bed rest with my very first pregnancy, which took a very, very active, very busy person and made them go on the couch, I had to find ways to keep busy. And part of the cathartic and the therapeutic process for me of coping was to write things down, just to write down my feelings, write down experiences I've been having, because I figured one day, I'd look back and laugh. Well, one day became many, many days and into years. And by the third set of twins and the delivery of the third set of twins, and all of these were just roller coaster rides, through and through. I found a rubber banded group of little books one day, and in doing so, sat down on the floor, started reading them, and thought, this is a book in the making. So while the boys, my last set of twins were 2 boys, they were probably taking naps at this point, maybe 7, 8 months old. I decided to go into my office and sit down and start from the beginning. And that's how it became a thing. That's how Twins Times 3 was born.
Now, the question that's on every parent's mind is, what is it like having 6 kids all under the age of 12?
But at one point, I had 4 that were 4 and under, and that was probably the hardest. When I had the older ones at that point, later on, I found that, boy, I could delegate really well. And I had lots of helpers, and the good thing about all that, having to cope and having to figure out how to make it work was that I was all about accepting help from our families, accepting help from our kids, and being able to provide for our children a experience that they would grow up and learn from. Either they'll have no children at all, or they'll go on to want to have a large family as well.
What are some of the emotional and marital challenges that can come from both infertility and then on the opposite end, having such a large family?
So you go as a young couple and you have your plans laid out ahead of you, and you think about starting your careers, starting your life together, and then ultimately starting a family. We all, well, I know that I did, I can't speak for everyone, just could imagine the family that was going to be starting in a couple of years. Well, when those plans get derailed by months turn into years of the disappointments, the emotional roller coaster is really tough. I can easily say that our marriage was strained. But what we found helped was very open communication, and taking breaks, figuring out things to focus on that weren't related to that. But unfortunately, when you're trying to have a family, it infiltrates your entire being and your entire life, socially, professionally, very, very privately as well. So it was tough, but we got through it. We tried to focus on other things. And then, of course, we didn't give up. Ultimately, we didn't go to the big procedures, but eventually it did work. So thank goodness it did. It took a little bit of help. The first set, the second set, 4 years later, took a little help, but the third set were a surprise.
The preceding portion of Studio 4 is sponsored by Bestseller Publishing.